Major League Baseball has seen its fair share of heated moments, controversial decisions, and unforgettable confrontations over the years. But what unfolded during the most recent matchup between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Philadelphia Phillies has already been described by analysts, former players, and fans alike as one of the most shocking and talked about incidents in recent baseball history. Bryce Harper, one of the most recognized and celebrated names in the sport, was caught on live television doing something that immediately drew the attention of the umpire, the players on the field, and millions of viewers watching at home. The consequences were swift, the reaction was massive, and the conversation that followed has taken over the entire baseball world. What exactly did Bryce Harper do to Shohei Ohtani? Why did the umpire feel compelled to act immediately and eject him from the game? The full story is far more dramatic than anyone could have anticipated. When the Dodgers and Phillies stepped onto the field for this highly anticipated matchup, the energy inside the stadium was already at an extraordinary level. Both teams came into the game with something to prove, and the atmosphere reflected that intensity from the very first pitch. Shohei Ohtani, as always, was at the center of attention. Every time the Japanese superstar stepped into the batter's box, the entire stadium seemed to hold its breath. Bryce Harper, on the other hand, was playing with the kind of fire and aggression that has always defined his career. From the very beginning of the game, it was clear that Harper was in one of those moods where he was going to make his presence felt no matter what. But nobody in that stadium could have predicted just how far things would go before the final out was recorded. From the opening innings, there was a noticeable edge to the interactions between the two teams. Players from both sides seemed unusually tense, and the body language on the field told a story that the broadcasters were quick to pick up on. Sources within the Dodgers clubhouse revealed after the game that there had already been some friction building beneath the surface even before the first pitch was thrown. Teammates of Ohtani said that the Japanese star had noticed Harper watching him with unusual intensity during warm-ups, though at that point nobody thought too much of it. It was competitive baseball, and stare-downs and psychological games are nothing new at this level of the sport. But what happened as the game progressed made it very clear that this was something entirely different. The moment that changed everything came in the middle innings, and it happened so quickly that many people in the stadium were not even sure what they had just witnessed. Ohtani was involved in a play near the baseline when Harper moved toward him in a manner that immediately caught the attention of everyone on the field. What was captured on live television was clear and undeniable. Harper made a deliberate move that had nothing to do with the natural flow of the game and everything to do with targeting Ohtani specifically. Players from both teams immediately reacted. The Dodgers dugout erupted. Several Dodgers players moved toward the field instinctively, and the noise level inside the stadium went from intense to absolutely deafening within seconds. The home plate umpire, who had been watching the play closely, did not hesitate for even a single moment. Without waiting for arguments or explanations, the umpire immediately pointed at Bryce Harper and made the call that sent the entire stadium into an uproar. Harper was ejected from the game. It was a decision made with a speed and certainty that told everyone watching exactly how serious the umpire considered what had just taken place. Harper's reaction to the ejection was immediate and explosive. He did not walk quietly toward the dugout. Instead, he turned toward the umpire and made his feelings known in a way that only added to the chaos already unfolding on the field. Coaches rushed out to try and manage the situation, but the damage had already been done. Shohei Ohtani stood in the middle of all of this with an expression that told a very powerful story. The man who is always composed, always focused, and always the picture of professionalism was visibly shaken by what had just happened to him. Mookie Betts was one of the first teammates to reach Ohtani's side, and according to witnesses at the scene, Betts was speaking to Ohtani in a calm but very serious tone, checking to make sure his teammate was okay. Freddie Freeman also moved quickly toward Ohtani, placing a hand on his shoulder and making it clear that every single player in the Dodgers dugout was standing firmly behind him. The unity and protectiveness that the Dodgers showed in that moment was something that resonated deeply with fans watching both inside the stadium and across the country. Manager Dave Roberts came out of the dugout with a look on his face that made it immediately clear he was not going to let this moment pass without making sure every appropriate measure was taken. Roberts spoke with the umpiring crew at length, making sure that every detail of what had just occurred was properly documented and reported. He was calm in his approach, but the intensity behind his words was unmistakable. Sources near the dugout reported that Roberts made it very clear to the umpires that the Dodgers expected a full and thorough report to be filed with MLB and that the organization would be following up to ensure that the appropriate consequences followed. Roberts understood that the eyes of the entire baseball world were on this moment, and he handled it with the kind of steady leadership that has always defined his time managing the Dodgers. After the game, the press conference featuring Dave Roberts became one of the most watched and talked about media moments of the entire MLB season. Roberts wasted no time addressing the incident directly. He told reporters that what Bryce Harper did was caught on camera for the entire world to see and that there was absolutely no room for interpretation or debate about what had taken place. He said that his first concern after the incident was the well-being of Shohei Ohtani, and that he was relieved that his star player was able to continue in the game. But Roberts made it equally clear that relief over Ohtani's condition did not in any way reduce the seriousness of what Harper had done. Roberts confirmed that the Dodgers would be formally requesting that MLB review the incident and respond with consequences that matched the severity of the action. Freddie Freeman addressed the media with a directness and emotional honesty that clearly came from a place of genuine anger and concern. Freeman said that what Harper did was something that had no place in baseball at any level, let alone at the highest level of professional sport. He described watching the incident unfold in real time as something that made his stomach drop, because the intent behind Harper's action was something he felt was impossible to misread. Freeman said the entire Dodgers clubhouse was furious, but that the team had chosen to channel that energy into making sure the right people were held accountable rather than allowing the situation to spiral further out of control. He made it very clear that the Dodgers stood as one behind Ohtani and that nobody in that clubhouse was going to forget what happened. Mookie Betts spoke with reporters and confirmed that the atmosphere in the Dodgers clubhouse after the game was one of intense emotion and complete unity. Betts said that being the first person to reach Ohtani after the incident was something he would not forget, because the look in Ohtani's eyes told him everything he needed to know about how deeply the moment had affected the Japanese superstar. Betts said Ohtani was composed but clearly impacted, and that in that moment the entire team felt the same thing. He added that the Dodgers have the kind of culture where something like this brings everyone even closer together, and that if anything, what Harper did had only strengthened the bond within the clubhouse. Across the baseball world, the reaction to Harper's ejection and the incident involving Ohtani was swift and overwhelming. Former players, analysts, broadcasters, and fans flooded social media with their responses. The footage of the moment was replayed thousands of times across every major platform, and with each viewing, the consensus became clearer. What Bryce Harper had done was indefensible, and the baseball community was united in its belief that MLB needed to respond with serious and meaningful consequences. Several prominent former players called for a suspension of significant length, arguing that anything less would send the wrong message to players across the league. By late evening, MLB had confirmed that the incident was under full review and that all relevant footage and reports had been collected. The league made clear that a decision regarding any disciplinary action against Bryce Harper would be announced in the coming days. The Phillies organization released a statement expressing regret over the incident but stopped short of any direct acknowledgement of wrongdoing on Harper's part. That response was met with widespread criticism from within the baseball community, with many feeling that a stronger and more direct apology was not only appropriate but necessary given the nature of what had occurred. As the baseball world continued to process everything that had happened, one thing stood above everything else. Shohei Ohtani, once again, had found himself at the center of a moment that revealed something important, not just about the challenges he faces as the biggest star in the sport, but about the character he carries with him every single day. He did not retaliate. He did not escalate. He stood tall, let his teammates and his manager fight for him, and went back to doing what he does better than anyone else on the planet. That quiet strength, in the face of something so deliberately provocative, is what makes Shohei Ohtani not just a great baseball player, but something far more rare and far more admirable. The baseball world is watching. And it is waiting for MLB to do the right thing. Thank you for watching. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Subscribe to our channel for more interesting and up-to-date information.